Hello and welcome to the second episode of the Arlo cast or video journals, whatever I'm gonna fucking call this. So today it is January 28th, 9:41 a.m. Just got out the shower, feeling pretty tired, but we got a powerful cup of tea, so life is alright. So, first thing I figured I should talk about is the massive increase of stock prices in GameStop, AMC, and a couple other uh, thought of as dead stocks, companies that were for sure going under due to pandemic and everything. But through the ingenuity of the internet, they pulled off a short squeeze on like some massive hedge funds and basically Robin Hooded the fuck out of them on an app called Robinhood, which I think is undoubtedly the funniest thing to happen this year. I find that in many of these large corporations or bureaucracies, anything of that nature, that the big guy, the guys on top, make these rules, so that way they can do whatever they want to the little guy. But through the power of the internet, the little guy now has all the power, and now they're frantically scrambling to get that back. It really warms my heart. And I'm not an anti-capitalist by any means. Let me get this off the record. I am no Marxist. No. Capitalism is, I think, the best system that we've come up with as a society, as a species. But I hate the people at the top because I'm not one of them yet. And I think that's true of many people. We see these billionaires who live lavish lifestyles, and they're probably more stressed than we are. They probably live miserable lives because they have so much more to lose than we do. But doesn't mean I still don't dislike them. Hate's a pretty strong word, so I'll take that back. I don't hate them. I don't know them. I have personal disdain towards them and the lifestyles they lived, given that I'm living in a very, very small house in the middle of nowhere and barely making it. But is what it is. That's why I started this channel, so I don't have to do that. So that kind of warmed my heart up, and I'm really glad to see that people are really taking the power back into their own hands. I feel that the internet is such a powerful tool, and we've seen it been able to topple over massive monopolies of power. I hate to always go back to music, but it's something that I know best. If we look at the record company, for example, right? Since the record's invention in the early 1900s, the record company has owned everything. They own the means to distribution. They own production. They own all facets of the game. If you want to make it in the music industry, you have to sign to a record label. And if you don't, you just won't have enough money. They're just a bank for records and musicians. But with the internet, I can sit in my bedroom with a laptop and plug in and make music that's equally as potent as any music they could make. And the only difference is they have larger bases of resources, more people to draw from, more creative content, and more connections. But in terms of production, vinyl is not a mainstay anymore. It's streams. That's the world. It's Spotify. It's YouTube. It's TikTok. Not Atlanta Records, So I find that the internet has been a very beautiful and powerful thing for the little man, the fighting man. So I'm glad to see that people are finally really putting it to its use. And I hope that we continue to see more people putting it to that use. I'd also like to touch on a really good conversation I had with a young man who I work around. He doesn't work yet. He's only, I believe, 11. For his privacy, I won't name his name, but if you're watching this, what's up? So I wanted to talk about education, because he's in the middle of middle school, and I have some pretty poignant thoughts on education as a whole, the education system, and I'm pretty passionate about it. Little background on myself. Um, I have an associate's degree right now, but I'm not pursuing it any further. But originally, my plan was to either do graphic design or become a high school art teacher because I'm incredibly passionate about teaching, giving knowledge, and giving experience. And I couldn't ever really pinpoint why that was until lately. But I realized it was because there was so few actually good teachers, and the curriculum itself was so flawed, and the entire system as a whole had so many errors that I felt discarded. I felt improperly nourished. Um, Let me break down into why I think this. So I don't want to toot my own horn or brag or anything, but I've always been a very intellectually gifted person. I've always enjoyed learning. I've always enjoyed reading and listening to things and exploring the vastness of the world's knowledge. And so you'd think that for me school would be a playground and I'd love it. And for the most part it was. I was smart enough to always pull off A's or B's without putting any effort towards it. But before high school, I would say, I was actually invested in learning through school. And I guess that all changed my seventh grade year. So in Illinois, before I believe that would be 2013. I don't know what the curriculum name was, but they had enriched, basic, and non-enriched classes. So if you're a smart kid who was ahead of the game, they put you in ahead of the game classes. Wow, crazy concept. Matching people's natural natural talents and attributes to their learning. What a crazy concept. And so I was placed in an enriched algebra class. And in this, we learned about, logarithmic functions, things of that nature. I thought it was awesome. I loved math. It was such a cool moment for me. I felt very engaged. And then Common Core rolled out in Illinois. And they said, no more enriched, no more unenriched. Everyone goes to one class, basic. And on the high school level, there was still enriched, there was still AP, but on a junior high level, it was one class. And so I spent my entire 8th grade year learning verbatim the exact same courses, the exact same algebra class. I had to do the exact homework I had already gotten an A on and completed a year prior. And I sat there bored and unamused and hating it. And so I did what any other kid would do at the time, and I stopped giving a shit and I made fun of everything and I became a jokester because I already knew what I was doing. I didn't have to pay attention. I just had to have fun and do something because I was bored out of my mind. So that's the moment I think that I stopped genuinely caring about school. And that really breaks my heart because I do think back and I wonder if I hadn't had that happen, if I had been properly nourished, what would have happened to me? Where could I be now? What could I be doing? And I'm perfectly happy with where I'm at because I chose art because that was the only place I could actually be free and be myself and never have to learn the same thing twice. But I would imagine myself maybe going to school to become a chemist or a biologist or a kinesthesiologist or a mathematician because all those things deeply interest me. And I've always had a deep interest in science and nature and math and all the related studies. But it was all squandered through public education. And so it brings me all back to a Mark Twain quote. And it's not perfect, but it's attributed to him, which is don't let schooling get in the way of your education. And I truly believe that. I feel as though the public education system has been made to squander any want to learn. I know too many people who are my age and older who have given up on learning. They're done. They hate it. They never want to pick up a book again. They never want to take another college class or another class and be told something because of the terrible experiences that we've had with it. And that's such a disservice to humanity. Learning's our greatest power. It's our greatest strength. And we just have been so misused and so misguided that we're abandoning that because of how poorly we've been exposed to learning. You know, when I tell people that I read books, I get very strange looks from many, many, many of my friends. And they say, why would you want to read books? It's like, well, I'm not reading books that we've been assigned to read, like high school, where we're forced to read old, outdated books that have no meaning from teachers who could care less about it. Now, I'm not judging my teachers. I'm really not. I had incredible teachers throughout my schooling. I really did. But a vast majority of them were not incredible or could not properly engage a student like me who was never the most tame, I guess. It really baffles me and it makes me really sad because there's so much knowledge out in this world and there's so much beauty to be found from it. You know, I mean, currently, not to name drop or anything, but I'm reading this book, I Me Mine, George Harrison, closest thing to an autobiography by him. And in it are some incredible lessons on life, on spirituality, on living, and on being, as well as music and everything else, and the history of the Beatles, which is also very fun to learn about. You see how thick this is? My generation has been conditioned to see that and put that away and throw it away because that's boring, because that's terrible. How sad is that? And it's not our fault. We're not just an idiot generation. We're just as smart as any other generation. I'd in fact argue smarter thanks to the internet. But alas, we've been conditioned to think that boring, worthless, just like every other book we've been forced to read. And that's a disservice to us. And so I guess through this channel, and why, this is why I decided to stop going to college to become a teacher, because I don't want to be stuck in a state curriculum mandated by the school that says I have to teach you X, Y, and Z, even if I know X, Y, and Z mean nothing and will not help you in the real world. And I've seen this in so many other instances, but I've been going on for a long time, so I'll probably cut this short, but we'll revisit this topic because I have much more thoughts on it. Anyways, that's about all I have for today. I have to get going. Great talking, as always. Have a great day.